Welcome in to episode 016 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. My name is David Farmer with Entice, and with me, as always, is David Bertoncini. How you doing, sir?
I am doing super well today, and just got to give you just my rundown of my coffee experience this morning, which was a little bit crazy. So I am sporting the racetrack cup because I do drive a Tundra, which consumes a lot of gas, and had to get some gas this morning. So when I went in there to try their coffee, their stock coffee, they have these brewing machines, they'll brew it right there. It'll actually grind it and brew it right in front of you, which I thought, okay, this is their unique selling proposition. Let me try this one out here for size. Yep. I hit the dark roast standard, watched the thing grind, and then tasted it. And I think actually they weren't coffee grinds. You know when they recycle tires for playgrounds? I think it was just actually the recycled tire
like
bits.
Beans, but they're really tires?
Exactly. And they ran hot water through it because it tasted like we're just gonna race through my intestines. So I had a couple sips, dumped it out, and replaced it with some of your Starbucks brew, boss.
Yep. All right. Oh, that's awesome. So so you know what? Let's just get right into it. So today we're talking about unique selling propositions. Now, normally when we get right into it, we have a slideshow that we'd like to share, and it's going to provide a little bit of information about the episode. And I compiled 4 or 5 different articles, and I didn't find anything that was perfect to really substantiate what I wanted to chat about today. So if you've really been following the Modern Dealer Podcast, you know that we're talking about digital retailing. We're talking about selling cars in the modern age, the Amazonification of retail, and what disruptors are doing in the space. Carvana, CarMax, Vroom, Shift, all these companies coming into the market, and they have a marketing statement or a value proposition or a compelling differentiation that really is providing a marketing message to consumers on why they should consider purchasing a vehicle from them versus purchasing vehicles from their local dealer. So that is what I want to try to encapsulate in this episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast in unique selling propositions. But before we get going, is there anything that you would like to share with our guests today, Mr. Bertoncini?
I do have a unique sock proposition.
Okay, there we go.
And today, in celebration, because we are in October, and my Rays did. They won the game, but then they lost the entire series.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, which was, hey, it is what it is. But moving forward, it is still October, and since it is the Halloween season, I did go with the Pumpkin King from The Nightmare Before
Tim
Christmas.
Burton?
Yeah, old Tim Burton, owned by Disney there. Since went with that, and since we are making a unique selling proposition, I will make a selling proposition about the Modern Dealer Podcast, and always be sure to subscribe.
And
turn on notifications.
Ding.
There you go. We are on YouTube and iTunes. Of course, you're listening to us on iTunes, and also chat with us on the Facebook group, and check us out. Check out the Modern Dealers podcast.com. And be sure to stay to the end, because we're going to cover 3 tips that you can use to create your dealership's unique selling proposition.
One of the things I wanted to share, as you brought up Tim Burton, I don't know if you know that or know this, but a little tip around this area right here. So we're in Wesley Chapel, just north of Tampa, and Edward Scissorhands, the movie, was actually filmed about 3 blocks away from here. Matt, one of our guys, will do a shout out to one of the employees here at Entice, actually grew up in the neighborhood that they did all the filming for Edward Scissorhands.
Wow.
So it's just right around the corner, right down the street, just on the other side of the outlet mall.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. Of course, that movie was in the early 90s.
Yeah, long time ago.
It was nearly 30 years ago. Can you believe it, man?
No, I can't.
The 90s
I can't even believe we're on episode 16.
Crazy.
Man, it feels like we just started this deal, but we're having a lot of fun.
Oh, my God. It is a blast.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool, too, is we get the opportunity to kind of get outside of what our normal business is, dig into different areas, and today, like unique selling propositions, do some research, try to find some articles that's going to substantiate what some great dealers are doing. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I got out of the research I did, is that there's so many great dealers out there that are doing so many great things And the dealer body in the United States is really just full of great entrepreneurs, and I think that's why at the end of the day that dealers are going to win because of the great people that we have in this in this industry. What a great industry to be in. So.
Yeah, just love it, man. Just to plug into what you're saying as far as some of the intelligent minds that are in the automobile industry that are thinking outside of the box. As you did the research and I read through the articles that you had found, there are some guys which are thinking completely outside of the box, and that's what we're going to cover today. And creating your dealership's unique selling proposition. You may already have a few unique selling propositions, but what we had read and what we came up with. Man, I mean, it is eye-opening on how to progressively move forward and get out of the traditional, thinking that most stores have, and that's what's crazy.
And really, what it comes down to is that a franchise dealer, kind of by definition, is selling commodities. So, I mean, you get a white LE Camry that has the base features on it. There is no difference between that vehicle and then any other vehicle that matches it, right? I mean, it's a commodity.
It's the same to Enterprise, Thrifty, Hertz, and all these rental car companies.
Yeah.
That's the exact same 2532.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, right? So really, what is going to create some differentiation? Why should a customer choose your dealership over another dealership? And that is what a unique selling proposition is. The definition, according to Wikipedia, is the unique selling proposition or unique selling point is a marketing concept first proposed as a theory to explain a pattern in successful advertising campaigns of the early 1940s. The USP states that such campaigns made unique propositions to the customer that convinced them to switch brands. And we included a Venn diagram that shows kind of where the unique selling proposition fits in how you're communicating your messaging to your customers. So, for example, the top circle, we're showing what customers want, and then we're looking at what you do well, and then what your competitors do well. And what you're looking at from a dealer standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, is to create a unique selling proposition that is unique to you as a dealer that really connects with what customers want. So if a customer is looking at purchasing a vehicle, we want them to choose your dealership over your competition. The reason they want to do that is what your unique selling proposition is. Now, a unique selling proposition, or we're gonna label it as a unique selling proposition for the purpose of this podcast. But you could consider it other things. It could be considered a compelling differentiation. You could call it why buy here.
Yep.
It really is what makes you different. So you look at unique selling propositions for CarMax or Carvana or Shift or for Vroom, disruptors in the automotive space versus traditional dealerships. I looked at the CarMax website, and I think that you're going to be able to see this on any website, that the first thing that you're going to see and from a messaging standpoint is going to be what they consider to be their unique selling proposition. So for CarMax, no haggling, no pressure ever. That's what you're going to find. That's what their unique selling proposition is. It's not necessarily that they got 300 locations, that they got 50,000 vehicles in stock, although those are those are compelling differentiations. Really what creates a separation between them and other dealerships is that they offer a no haggling, no pressure environment, and that's what they deliver upon. Last episode, we went through I personally went through the experience of getting an appraisal at CarMax, and that's exactly how I would describe my experience there. So they're delivering upon that, and it's doing extremely well. 763,000 vehicles sold in 2018. They have a 6% increase this year over year. So they're going to end up selling more cars. So that for them is their unique selling proposition. That's something that maybe you, as a modern dealer, want to consider doing, is a no haggling, no pressure, one price type environment.
We went through that back.
We did.
Well, yeah, when you and I were at AutoNation Toyota back in 2000, and we went to one price. It lasted for 1 year, but I had said in a previous episode, and I'll say it again, is the market, the consumer wasn't ready for it at that time. The consumer wasn't ready for it. They didn't have the websites that we have now to confirm, like, am I getting a good price? They didn't have Car Gurus. They didn't have Kelley Blue Book. They didn't have any third-party validation that, like, this one price is a good price. They still had to go shop to other sources, and that's why I felt back in 2000, the year 2000, that it fell short 19 years ago. Back then, though, my unique selling proposition, we didn't have a unique selling proposition at that store at that time. Do you know what mine was? This is the most funniest thing in the world. But across the street from the dealership, catty corners of the dealership, there was a warehouse, and it was called the Shoe Factory Warehouse. And I used to tell customers, I'm like, Mr. Customer, the good news, if you come here and if, like, we can't make a deal, I promise you, you can go right across the street to the Shoe Factory Warehouse, maybe think about the deal that we offered for you, and I'm pretty sure that maybe, you know, your significant other may find a pair of shoes there, come back and get a car from me. I used to say that, and it worked. Seriously, it worked. I couldn't believe it worked. They're like, oh, really? There's a shoe warehouse? I'm like, oh, yeah, all kinds of shoes. You'll love it. Come on over.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had to use at the time. So that and our inventory, our selection. I mean, the typical things that you would say to a customer, but I had to come up with, like, what is my unique selling proposition here? And I didn't have, you know, lifetime warranty. I didn't have tires for. I didn't have anything that a lot of stores offer now. So,
and I think that is a big differentiation between how business was then. I think you bring up a very good point. Is that the industry, I think, was ready for a one price, no haggling, no pressure experience. I think customers were asking for it. So I think that the goal that AutoNation had to bring that to the marketplace was valid. I think the challenge that you brought up is that customers really didn't have the ability to compare it to anything else in the marketplace at the time. We didn't have the type of infrastructure that's in place now with, for example, with what Cars.com is today, what AutoTrader is today, what Car Gurus is today. We didn't have any way to validate that pricing. It was brand new. I mean, 1999, 2000, early days of the internet. That is really what has pushed the industry to where we find ourselves today, 20 years later, moving on to 2020 and beyond. So maybe this is now the time to reconsider what your internal process looks like from a unique selling proposition and embracing the idea of no haggling, no pressure, one price. And you know what? I would have to say that many dealerships have adopted this type of pricing strategy when they create their online pricing and their pricing for used cars. So with tools like vAuto to be able to price a vehicle to market and to be able to substantiate it, a lot of dealerships are in a position where they are providing the best price right up front. They might not be calling it a no haggle price. They might not be calling it a one price environment, but they're acting more like a one price dealership than ever before.
And back when Saturn came out, they were one price, and everybody at the time accepted Saturn one pricing. I think Mercedes tried to do one pricing for a minute. I think it was maybe a certain model. There's been a couple, that have tried it and wasn't that successful. But now you have the ability to compare. One pricing is way more successful than it ever has been, and clearly CarMax has proved it. Carvana's, crushing it, proving it with used cars. But a new car one pricing is what it's going to boil down to, and then of course, what happens. How to generate more revenue from that one pricing sale is your next challenge of how to. I think we had it in the last 2 episodes ago. We had a chart, and it's just showing margins have just decreased.
Yes.
It was on that 45 slope for years, and now we're just like, all right, plateau. Let's figure out how to get a rise out of it.
And so what needs to happen now is if we're at the point where margin compression really can't get any lower. I mean, we're already losing money on average on every new vehicle that we sell. as a group of dealers in the United States. So we need to look at a way to create some differentiation that adds value, that builds value into the process. There is a great article, Maryland Dealership Upend Sales Model. We're going to include the link in our slideshow, in our show notes, and you're going to find that this particular dealership, a mini dealership, is doing well with a negotiation-free model. So they're using this one price as a unique selling proposition. So it's not something that's being purchased, but it is something that is being provided from an experience standpoint. And so I think that as a dealership, you have the opportunity to create your unique selling proposition, your why buy here, in either providing more, like a product or an additional service, or changing the way that the experience is happening in your dealership. Experience such as 100% online, 0% salesperson, delivery, or vending machine like Carvana is using as their unique selling proposition, or the no haggle, no pressure sales experience at CarMax and other one price dealerships. In addition to unique selling propositions in the way of an experience that a customer can have, there's other ways to create a unique selling proposition, and that is through different products or different value adds that can be provided to customers for purchasing. And we'll get into that in the second segment of this episode, 016, the Modern Diva Podcast. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back into episode 016, the Modern Dealer Podcast. We're going to jump right back in it, David. We're going to talk about other things that dealerships can utilize as a unique selling proposition to really create more value. So one example I'll share is through what Hyundai really started back in, I want to say 99, 2000. And this is an area when we were both selling cars. And if you remember, when we were selling cars, let's say I would say 98, 99, when a customer came in, they're looking at a Camry, they're looking at a Corolla, and they would say to us, well, you know what, I could go to Hyundai and I can purchase, an Excel for, half the money as a Camry. Why would I pay twice as much money for a Camry? And back then, we just pretty much laughed at them, right?
It was a quality thing back then.
Yeah, it was a huge quality thing, right?
And it was just, and you're right, we would laugh and we would chuckle, but at the same time, you got to feel like that poor customer was just like, well, why are you laughing at me? But us being in the business, we knew at the time that was not the best choice of vehicle. The Excel was one of the worst vehicles that was ever built at that time. Yeah. And, rewinding back to 99, fast forward now, here it is, 20 years later, parity. And they've turned it around. And actually, within that first 2007, you could see 2005 to 7, you could see things the trends were changing for Hyundai. So, totally different.
The reason I bring up Hyundai is one of the things that they did as a marketing tactic to change everybody's thought of what the Hyundai brand is to offer a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Mm-hmm. So when Hyundai made that change, they created the perception that the quality was there regardless of what the quality actually was. So we know that the Hyundai Excel, they came into the market, they sold a shitload of cars, but then really within a very short period of time, these cars started to fall apart. Hyundai lost dealers. Dealers were actually given the franchise back. I don't want to sell these things anymore. It was dire straits for Hyundai. And then they came out with a new model, they came out with new models, and they came out with America's Best Warranty, which is a unique selling proposition. And it really started the long-term powertrain warranty as a unique selling proposition. So now, at that point, when a customer would go to a Toyota dealership or a Honda dealership or any other dealership and say, hey, I can go to Hyundai and I can buy a similar vehicle in size and and accessories and features, but it's going to be $3,000 less or whatever the price difference was, we couldn't laugh at them anymore because their response was, well, they're going to stand behind it with a 10-year warranty. So I don't care if it's a shit car because if it breaks, I'll just bring it back and I got 10 years to do it. So that was a huge, that was a huge thing. And I think looking back at the Hyundai story, that is the reason that they're still around today. Otherwise, they would have, the same thing that happened to Daewoo would have happened to them as well. So it really changed the trajectory of Hyundai, and today, they're killing it. They're doing a very, very good job. There's an article from July 29th, 2019, Revenue Secret at Hyundai, the marketing guy. So Dean Evans, what's really kind of cool about this article too, and what he talks about is what we talk about in the Modern Dealer podcast a lot, and that is I even think it said that he's going to be celebrating his 51st birthday this year. So he's exactly, about the same age, a little bit older than I am, but he's been in the business for 30 years. So we look at the business from a 30-year cycle standpoint, from 1990 through 2020. I mean, he's gone through that same transition that we have, just at in a different position at a different level.
Right.
He's worked at dealer.com. He worked at Subaru. He's a marketing guy there. Now he came over as the marketing guy at Hyundai, and really doing some really cool things.
I thought I read someplace in that article that he actually sell cars? Was he at retail himself in this marketing position?
Maybe, I don't know. I think so.
I thought he was. Maybe that's what my take was from the article and reading through it quickly. But yeah, I mean, the guy he's seen, just like Gary Vee refers to, the transition of pre-internet to post-internet, and how it's completely changed. His position as far as being the marketing guy, from what works and what doesn't work, and using a $50 test drive is what he's using to, like you said, hey, try this Hyundai. We offered you America's best warranty. Now we're going to offer you a $50 test drive to come in.
Yep. So that's another unique selling proposition and another compelling differentiation. And he really, he says, I don't want to talk about this topic because it's really a good tactic, and I don't want everyone to know about it. Make it sound like it's a disaster project, and the dealers are knocking my teeth out on it. So, anyways, I think it is a great illustration of what you can do as a unique selling proposition. It can be something like a lifetime warranty that you offer your customers if they purchase a vehicle from you. Or, even something like tires for life, if there's some value to that, or oil changes for life. I know a lot of dealerships utilize that as well. Or they'll take the 2-year free maintenance that the manufacturer gives, and you give another 2 years of maintenance. Or you offer a $50 test drive Visa offer. If a customer comes into the dealership, you get that opportunity. So really trying to create something that when a customer is trying to decide, where do I want to go? Who do I want to do business with? We give them just one more reason to choose you over your competition, right?
So I walked in one of the newest Toyota dealerships, Hollywood Toyota, and their unique selling proposition is they have actually 2 fast food places inside of the dealership. Wow. They have a local pizza franchise, and then they had a Subway in there.
Like a food court.
Yeah, like a food court. They had a food court in a dealership, and of course that. In addition to, they had a live musician playing guitar in the showroom on a podium. In between his sets, there was a DJ playing live music, a live DJ. That, in addition to that, they just, having all that happening at the same time, they had one more unique selling proposition, just went right out of my head, but it was pretty unique, man. I mean, these guys were, doing everything. From just when you walk into the showroom experience. I think they had massages. That was the other thing. They had massages. They even had somebody. Some stores now have people doing pedicures and manicures and stuff like that in the dealership. So I mean, these are all reasons to for service retention, which is strong.
Yes.
Because this is all right around the service area when they walk in. But the live music was, it was just a culture And of course, that helps too in your marketing, your unique selling propositions. Like, check out our culture, man. We're fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
We're not stuffy.
Yeah, and I think all of it comes down to how you're able to distill that unique selling proposition into the process of buying a vehicle. And if it is having live music, if it is having massages, or it has you have restaurants built into the showroom, that is translating into the experience that a customer has when they come into the dealership. And I still think a lot of people will choose a dealership based on wanting to bring their vehicle there from a service standpoint. One big differentiation between new car franchise dealers and online retailers is there is no there, right? You don't bring the vehicle back there for service. You don't develop a relationship. You don't have that personal relationship with the dealer. And if you're using a unique selling proposition like a lifetime warranty or a long-term powertrain warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile, 20-year, 200,000 mile warranty. The key, in my belief, is incorporating that into the process. So it's not just a marketing message, but when the customer comes into the dealership, it's part of that brand promise. So you buy a vehicle from us, you get a lifetime warranty, and building value with that. It is a real warranty. You can, and then taking the points of that unique selling proposition and incorporating that into verbiage, right? So, one of the things that you did touch on a little bit earlier is that, talking about, why buy here statements. We look at why buy here statements 20 years ago. We were told and trained to let customers know that the reason you should buy from us is because we have great people here. We have a great physical location. We have a great service department. We have 8 factory trained, certified master techs in stock. So it's all about inventory, location, but it's the exact same story that a customer is going to get someplace else. One dealership, yes, you have great people, but there's great people at other stores too, right? So it's not a unique selling proposition. It's a why buy here, but it's not something that really creates the uniqueness. And I really love. I know that we just kind of started it with the unique selling proposition, but that diagram. What customers want versus what you do well. I think that really illustrates the strength of what a unique selling proposition should be. Something your other competitors don't do or don't do well, something that you do well, and it's something that your customers want. So we see warranty as something that customers want. They feel like that you're gonna stand behind the vehicle, but also the experience is really what customers are telling us they want. They want transparency. They want speed. They want the ability to really do all their research online. They want to dig into the digital retailing activities. That can become your unique selling proposition.
So I'm going to go Highline for a second. So a Lamborghini dealership, Lamborghini of Sarasota. I know previous management of that dealership and had a good relationship with those guys several years ago, but they're unique. Obviously, I mean, if you wanted to get your Lamborghini service, they will come to the house with a trailer, enclosed trailer, pick up the Lamborghini, bring it back in for service. That was their unique selling proposition of how to beat out the Ferrari of Tampa, and actually encouraging, they had a marketing strategy was to encourage Ferrari owners to service their vehicles at Lamborghini, that they would pick up the their Ferrari in the Lamborghini of Sarasota service department and service.
Is that what you do with your Lambo?
No, I do not own a Lambo. Let's just make that very clear. No. Okay. I want to save that for a whole other episode and such, but the fast forwarding a little bit to, I know we read about the Amazonification of the process, and one of the biggest things is home delivery and everything being delivered to your home now from, obviously different industries, food industries, and different service industries. Your cell phone repair, your replacement you had a couple episodes ago. These are all service deliveries, and of course. We read about this one dealership which made that part of their culture. Their unique selling proposition is home deliveries, and that is so huge nowadays. And what the people didn't realize, they thought there was an extra cost. Example, I told you my uncle just purchased a vehicle from my sister-in-law, 120 miles south of here. And then he asked, I said, oh, I'll just have it delivered to you. And my uncle, knowing me all of his life, goes, is there extra cost to that? I said, no, that's free, man. We'll deliver the car to you. He's like, oh, wow, you're going to really deliver the car to me? I said, yeah, you're my uncle. What would you expect? Because I was just, helping out with that transaction, but it doesn't cost you really anything.
Yep.
Same thing you would spend on a dealer trade guy, $100, but that is something huge that you really would want to push home is home delivery. One
of the articles that we're featuring here in our slideshow is about a dealership in Michigan, a dealership group, and they offer the home delivery and or office delivery. It was a Cadillac purchase that was featured on in the article, and talked to the guy that to him, he leases vehicles, and every 3 years he just leases another Cadillac. So it really is more of a commodity to him. So understanding from a digital retailing standpoint and a delivery standpoint, there's different types of buyers out there. There's buyers that want to kick the tires, smell the prosperity, as Grant used to say, in the new vehicles, and make a decision right there and go through that experience. And there's some people that really don't care. It's like, I know the product. It's just time for me to get another one. I want to be able to have that delivered right to me. So I think that a unique selling proposition today needs to include some sort of express shopping at home, giving the ability to complete that transaction, in the customer's driveway or in the business parking lot. Being able to offer that as a unique selling proposition. It doesn't necessarily cost any extra to do it. One other dealership that I read in one of the articles that we're sharing today, they have a corporate Uber account. So if a salesperson jumps in a car, or a delivery coordinator jumps in a car, delivers it for a test drive, completes the paperwork on an iPad, does some phone conversations with the F&I person to make sure that they still get the F&I experience. And then if the customer wants to purchase the vehicle, they take care of all the purchase transaction right there, and the salesperson just Ubers back to the dealership. I mean, so those are all technologies and tools that are available to everybody today.
At Digital Dealer, I didn't understand why Uber was at Digital Dealer, and I had asked them, like, why are you guys here? And they said, oh, because of that reason, because of test drives, because of service, because of the delivery, and using the dealer's Uber account to make that all possible.
Yeah.
So it's even easier than, I guess, using, here I was a little old thinking, I was use the dealer trade guy, and, well, you can take it even a step further, and you have somebody more available, a bigger network by using Uber.
And if dealers are very aggressive too, they could take that as a unique selling proposition. Back in the day, it was always a Previa van with a service driver that was going to have to shuttle you back and forth. You might have to wait an hour or 2 hours to get shuttled back, to your office, and then get shuttled back to the dealership to pick up. Why wouldn't a dealership have a corporate Uber account? And if somebody needs a ride back to the office, we're going to pay for an Uber to get you to your work and get you back to the dealership after your repair is done. So there's a lot of different things that you can do as a unique selling proposition, but I think the key is to make sure that you incorporate it into your marketing and make sure that it's communicated to customers as they're going through the process of buying a vehicle. There's so much information, David, in and around unique selling propositions and what dealerships are doing. There's a great article that we talked about a few episodes ago, came out August 12th. A small town Toyota dealership is challenging the norm and succeeding. White River Toyota operates different. They had 13 different things, including something like there's no F&I office, give the customer the ability to drive any vehicle that they want as they want. Just really, really cool ways that you can incorporate something different at your dealership that's going to create a unique selling proposition. So I think the big takeaway here for me, David, is that a dealership really has an opportunity to create differentiation in so many different ways. The importance, I think, is more important now than it ever has been in the past, with online purchase options, with going, having some dealerships doing home deliveries, having vending machines to go purchase vehicles, have companies like CarMax selling almost 1 million vehicles a year. There's so many choices. Dealers really need to figure out a way to create that compelling differentiation that's going to add value, that's going to help them move away from the commoditization of the automobile itself and add value. So it's just like the Starbucks coffee. We told that story before. People are willing to spend $3, $4, $5 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks because of the experience, not only just the coffee that's in the cup. So I know that we're 15, 18 minutes into the second episode, so we're going to have to say goodbye to episode 016 any moment here. Any closing thoughts from you, sir?
So I want to give the 3 tips that I mentioned in the beginning that you can use today. My tip number 1 is definitely, if you don't have home delivery in your process right now, incorporate home delivery. This doesn't really cost you practically anything, as we talked about, using Uber or using your dealer trade guide. Secondly, review your current sales process to see as far as your test drives and the ability to deliver test drives at home or at work. Review your sales process and figure out how you can possibly do that. And of course, what I got from one of the articles was something huge, and part of the Amazonification process of your dealership is your return policy. Do you have a return policy, and how can a customer actually utilize it? I know there's some return policies which you have to get a different vehicle from the dealership, or just 100% return, no heat, no bad Google review or anything like that. You have to look at it this way nowadays, that you really have to go in the direction of the customer. We're there for guidance, but look at your return policies, and if you can incorporate that, make that your unique selling proposition.
September 16th, I'll just say this real quick. In the slideshow, September 16th, there's an article, Don't Like the Car You Bought, Pick Another One. This is a Rickart Automotive Group. They offer a return policy on new vehicles and used vehicles, and the way that he looks for it is the price that you pay for offering customers that peace of mind and confidence if you have to take back in a new vehicle and convert it into a used vehicle to put it into inventory. Great tips, David. I really appreciate it. We are going to go ahead and close out this episode. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate it. And on that note, that's a wrap.
That's it.